Hello, I'm Dow Bartling, and I certainly hope that you and yours are having yourself a super brighter summer day. The older I am, day by day, the more that I think. And I think that the Peace Garden State really contributed very much to my life's path. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, let me share with you part 2 of the Peace Garden State. The people. The very important people with a capital P. When I think of the people that I interacted with and had relationships with in the state of North Dakota, I think of the word innovation. The people of North Dakota at different times just showed me the results of that innovation. When I was transferred to North Dakota, I came with a team of 3. Yes, 3 of us came there. A training person, and then 2 managers, another one and myself. And they were older than I was, and they mentored me. Believe me, I learned a lot from Keith and Gene. And Gene, socially wise, I was able to go hunting with Gene and another agent, Lauren, out in the middle part of the state along the Cannonball River. And it was wonderful. And some of the best pheasant hunting that I've ever been part of, right there in North Dakota. The agents that I worked with there in North Dakota, they gave me examples of innovation of some different sorts. Let me give you another example here. The gentleman's first name was Steve. Now, Steve's father was a manager with the New York Life, and in fact, I worked with him in Sioux City, Iowa. Well, Steve was the oldest son, and he was on his own, and he was a representative. And he had a system, folks, where he had a little 3x5 card. Took a 3x5 card, made up some information on that client or to-be client, and then on his desk, he had certain rows and columns, and they stood for specific things on how he was planning his month or his months to be. Steve had that plan, and he worked it very, very well. In fact, they had different categories of attaining certain goals with this insurance company, and they had those goals set where they ended on June 30th. And this young man, Steve, he made it to the very top. Innovation. Something as simplistic as a 3x5 card. Another example of innovation was an agent by the name of Richard. Now, Richard, he kind of had his own way. Let me give an example. One day I was at my desk like this, and a gentleman comes in, and I can see that he's speaking to our receptionist, and then she comes in and sticks her head in, Nancy did, and she said, "Ed, this gentleman wants to speak to you. He asked to see you." I said, "Okay, fine." She said, "Yes, he's from the IRS. The IRS was coming to see me, Dow Bartling." Holy moly, Rocky. But I did see him, and the result was this. You see, Richard, in his innovation, believed that he could use his money better than the U.S. government. And so Richard would fill out his taxes as required, and then he would file his taxes, and there may be, of course, an amount due, which there usually was, but there was no check attached. Richard would wait that cycle, and then Richard would get a garnishment on his wages by the U.S. government. Yes, Richard, in his innovation, was not going to physically pay his taxes till the last very straw was broken, so to speak. Another example of innovation is this: our staff of the associates I worked with, such as Nancy and Lori, and Jackie, and Henrietta, and Peggy. All of them come together, and at one point they kind of formed a little committee and come up with a consensus, and they come back and said, we would like to start wearing uniforms here at the office. These uniforms would be kind of navy blue. They had a skirt, they had slacks, they would wear their shirt or a blouse underneath it, and then Friday would be kind of a casual day where they could wear that. They figured that that would be more of a presentation of being professional, and they wouldn't have to go out and buy clothes on their own necessarily, because they would have this uniform. And so that's what they did. They took the innovation to want to present themselves in what they thought a more professional manner of seeing the other professionals there, including myself, that we were every day always in suits. And they took the innovation to bring forth uniforms. Uniforms. The only other place that I saw uniforms in a professional place was when I went to Panama. When I went to Panama, then we would see different professionals, all of them men and women in suits, be it bankers, what it would be. We would see them downtown Panama City. All of them, you could tell what company necessarily by their uniforms. And the teachers, you could have a slum in Panama like Chirrillo, and those teachers were dressed to a T, and those students were all in uniforms. Innovation. There was a gentleman that I knew by socially. Every morning I'd get up and I'd go to the athletic tennis club. Now, I didn't play tennis, but they had exercise equipment, and they had what I guess I'd call a Norwegian sauna. And I met a certain 2 or 3 different people that would be there every morning at the same time before we'd all go to work. This particular gentleman, Doug, would get talking about different things and things that we do in our work from time to time. Example, every month I had to do a report called the monthly report. They were called a MR1 and 2, which then brought to the home office, then eventually the production, both on the written and the paid side. And it was laborious, let me tell you, and had to be typed, IBM ball typewriter, and if you made an error, oh my goodness sake. So it was laborious, but it had to reach a deadline. It had to be there by like the 3rd working day. And it was in mail. There was no fax or no computers to speak of there. So I kind of explained that to Doug, and he did other ways too. And he says, I think I could help there. And so he talked about then the computers were just coming out of a type of a computer software that could be put into a computer, and then it would do all of these mathematical exercises right there, and they'd all be correct. You wouldn't have to do any checking or double checking. And so I gave him a sample of the report that I had to do, and then he copied it, and he actually used that computer program to do that with. Now, I knew of some computer programs from college, such as Fortran and other things there, but COBOL. But Doug was applying that, and man, it looked terrific. So much so that I sent it into the home office in New York and suggested that we take on this innovation that Doug had done just by us brainstorming in a Norwegian sauna, pouring a little water on some stones and get a little steam. Well, the home office said no, that they're kind of working on stuff, but that wouldn't be the thing that they wanted to pursue at all. Now for the rest of the story. You see, Doug was a very much of a person of innovation. When he went through college, he had a chimney sweep business for himself and then other college students too. And it was a real good business. Well, you see, I later then was sent to another part of the United States, getting transferred out, and I kept in touch with Doug. And Doug developed this into a software, and it was called the Great Plains software, Great Plains accounting software. And this accounting software got so much interest that it was bought by Microsoft. Microsoft bought Great Plains accounting software. Doug received billions of dollars for the Great Plains accounting software. The software that was at its very early stages being introduced to a big company in New York, the New York Life. And they decided that no, that wasn't something for them to pursue at all. Doug Burgum today is the governor of North Dakota. Doug today is running for the president of this United States. And I believe that gentleman has innovation. So, who around you is exhibiting innovation? How are you exhibiting innovation? Don't take anything for granted. It could be another Great Plains software right around the corner. Until we share again, I want you to take care and have yourself and your family that brighter summer day. I'm rooting for you. Yes, I am. Because we are in this together. You take care.